Hello, and welcome to the Final Fantasy XIV Gunbreaker Guide, featuring Rin Karigani.
Hey everyone, I'm Rin.
In this video, we'll be talking about the abilities, rotation, and utility of the Gunbreaker job at level 90. Gunbreaker is a tank job, which focuses on soaking up auto attacks and heavy-hitting tank busters to protect your party from danger. It does so alongside Warrior, Paladin, and Dark Knight.
In Final Fantasy XIV, tanks are DPS with the added responsibility of defensive cooldowns and boss positioning. Gunbreaker's strength lies in high damage output and high APM burst windows every 30 seconds. The downside to Gunbreaker is that the rotation is restrictive and you'll need to be proactive with mitigation. We're going to help you with that.
The Gunbreaker job gauge is very straightforward. It's a graphic of a revolver, and every time you finish your 1-2-3 combo, your 1-2 AoE combo, or use a certain cooldown, you gain cartridges. You can hold up to 3 cartridges, and each can be spent on powerful damaging abilities. It also has an indicator for Royal Guard, which when activated greatly increases your enmity generated.
Gunbreaker's main filler is a 1-2-3 combo that starts off with Keen Edge, a low potency GCD. This then combos into Brutal Shell, a GCD that heals and shields us, and finishes with Solid Barrel, which generates 1 cartridge.
These cartridges can be spent on a few abilities. Burst Strike uses up 1 cartridge, dealing a considerable amount of damage, and also granting you the Ready to Blast buff, which can be spent on a Hyper Velocity OGCD. Try to use Hyper Velocity almost always instantly after Burst Strike, as a lot of actions cancel out the buff. You might want to delay using it if you're in need of weave slots from your mitigation.
Then we have Gnashing Fang, a cooldown that works similar to Burst Strike and spends 1 cartridge, but adds on a little bit of spice. After using Gnashing Fang, you gain access to an OGCD called Jugular Rip. Gnashing Fang is like Burst Strike, with the additional effect of the Gnashing Fang button transforming into a 3-part combo. After using Gnashing Fang, Continuation becomes Jugular Rip, and Gnashing Fang transforms into Savage Claw. Savage Claw is the second part of your Gnashing combo. This grants you access to the Abdomen Tear OGCD, and turns Savage Claw into Wicked Talon. Wicked Talon is the combo finisher of your Gnashing Fang combo, and turns Abdomen Tear into Eye Gouge. Since this is the bread and butter of our burst, it is important to use Gnashing Fang twice per minute, one inside of No Mercy, and the other one outside of No Mercy on cooldown. Also, using any of your regular 1-2-3 combo abilities or your Demon Slice Demon Slaughter AoE will break Gnashing Fang, so if you need to delay the continuation GCDs, then do so with either Double Down, Burst Strike, or Sonic Break, as these do not break your combo.
Talking about Double Down. This ability slashes around you in a small circle for a large amount of damage. It costs 2 cartridges to use. Sonic Break was also mentioned. This is a moderately hard-hitting GCD that applies a damage over time debuff to the target. Lastly, there's Lightning Shot. This instant cast ranged ability should be used if you're ever forced to disconnect from the boss to maintain uptime. It is worth noting that this ability has increased enmity generation.
Let's move on to the OGCD abilities. No Mercy buffs our damage by 20% for 20 seconds on a 60-second cooldown. Bloodfest instantly grants us 3 cartridges on a 2-minute cooldown. Continuation is the button that flares up when you gain an OGCD usage from either Burst Strike or any of the Gnashing Fang combo GCDs. These OGCDs are Hyper Velocity for Burst Strike, and then Jugular Rip, Abdomen Tear, and Eye Gouge for Gnashing Fang, Savage Claw, and Wicked Talon respectively.
Blasting Zone is a simple damage dealing OGCD cooldown. Keep this on cooldown at all times. Bowshock is similar, but does damage around you in a small circle, and instead applies a dot to all targets hit. Rough Divide is your Gap Closer. Since this Gap Closer does deal damage and has 2 charges, you want to use both charges inside the No Mercy window, unless you are forced to disconnect from the boss and need a quick way to get back into melee range.
Gunbreaker is flexible in the way that it allows for multiple variations of the opener, which could be better for certain fights due to phase timings or kill times. That being said, this guide will only cover the Lightning Shot opener. Starting off, ensure Royal Guard is enabled if you are the main tank. As the countdown timer is reaching 0, use Lightning Shot. Ideally, you want to use this at minus 0.7 seconds so that the damage reaches the boss and pulls aggro at 0 seconds. weave in Bloodfest first, No Mercy second. Now, start your 1-2-3 combo with Keen Edge, following up with Brutal Shell. If you're using a tincture in the opener, now would be the time to drink it. Instead of finishing your 1-2-3, start your Gnashing Fang combo. Weave in Jugular Rip, then use Sonic Break, weave in Blasting Zone and Bow Shock, use Double Down, weave in Rough Divide, continue your Gnashing Fang combo with Savage Claw, weaving Abdomen Tear and Rough Divide, then use Wicked Talon, weaving in Eye Gouge, and finish your 1-2-3 combo with Solid Barrel. You should now have one cartridge left. Spend this on a Burst Strike and Hypervelocity. Enter your filler rotation for now. If you used a potion, the last GCD you use will be another Gnashing Fang. You might want to use a Burst Strike while your potion's still up when you have one cartridge, but skip it for now. Otherwise, you'll run into a situation later where you don't have 3 cartridges for your next No Mercy. Here is an example of the opener being done.
The Gunbreaker's rotation revolves around building cartridges and spending them on powerful GCD and OGCD abilities within your No Mercy damage buff. Luckily, all of Gunbreaker's cooldowns are divisions of 30, meaning that keeping them on cooldown after the opener is very static. After your opener, simply keep your GCD rolling by using your basic 1-2-3 combo and ensure you do not overcap your cartridges by spending any third on Burst Strike and Hypervelocity. Finally, do your best to keep all of your cooldowns rolling. Try your best to fit as many of the following abilities into your No Mercy windows. The rotation can also be displayed in the following graph.
When entering an encounter with more than one target, you can do the following adjustments to your rotation. Replace your 1-2-3 combo with the 1-2 combo of Demon Slice and Demon Slaughter. Also, start using Faded Circle instead of Burst Strike. Gnashing Fang keeps being a DPS gain until you reach 4 targets. This rarely occurs outside of dungeons, but if it does, simply let it drift slightly. Double Down is naturally an AoE ability, so you want to keep this on cooldown. Sonic Break is only a gain if it manages to run its full duration. Consider drifting this if your target dies within 30 seconds. You can also use this on a really beefy enemy in a dungeon pull to ensure the healthy mob dies with the rest of the pack and to keep Sonic Break aligned with No Mercy.
Gunbreaker of course is a tank and thus gains access to a large number of mitigation and utility options. The first is Aurora. This OGCD can be used on yourself or any targeted party member and applies a single target heal over time. Camouflage reduces all damage taken by 10% for 20 seconds and increases your parry rate by 50% up to 60%. You can parry any physical damage, and if successful, it reduces the damage you take by 15%. Rampart reduces all damage taken by 20% for 20 seconds. Nebula reduces all damage taken by 30% for 15 seconds. Heart of Corundum reduces the damage taken by a targeted party member or yourself by 15% for 8 seconds. It additionally reduces the damage taken by the target by 50% for 4 seconds and grants the Carcasses of Corundum buff to them, which will apply a healing over time effect if their health falls below 50% or if the buff expires. Super Bolide is your invulnerability. You quite literally shoot yourself, reducing your HP to 1 and making you immune to any incoming damage for the next 10 seconds. Reprisal applies a debuff to all enemies around you, reducing their damage dealt by 10% for 10 seconds.
Aside from these personal mitigation options, Gunbreaker also has access to the tank roll actions and a raid-wide mitigation called Heart of Light. This OGCD reduces all magic damage taken by the party by 10% for the next 15 seconds. Low Blow stuns your target, Interject interrupts a target's cast, if it is interruptible, and Royal Guard is your tank stance. When enabled, this ability will greatly increase your enmity generated. Provoke instantly generates a large chunk of enmity on the target. Shirk allows you to transfer 25% of your enmity to a targeted party member. Utilizing these two abilities, you can swap the threat of a boss between yourself and your co-tank, which will be crucial for dealing with tank busters. Most tanks use a few macros which target their co-tank or utilize the mouse over feature. Common macroed abilities include Shirk, which is essential, Heart of Corundum, and Aurora. Keep in mind that you can't queue action macros, so you might have to spam the button for it to go off. Here's an example of one of those macros. Simply replace the Shirk part with the abilities you wish to have macroed to make one for any of the other mentioned abilities.
A special thanks to Rin Karigani for fact-checking and helping me make this video.